Good morning to you and welcome to the morning drive on Providence Television International. This is the newspaper analysis. My name is Edna Cesar-Garrick. As usual, I'm not alone in the studio. I have with us this morning the CEO of Providence Television International, Dr. Emmanuel Igariba. A very beautiful morning to you, sir.
Yeah, morning, Edna. It's a bright day, and I guess it's going to be very sunny today.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah, sure.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay.
Very quickly, we want to look at the federal government telling the about the food price crash for 1 month. Do you think they can enforce this law on the traders?
You know, there are certain things that are not just justiciable, for instance. Because, first of all, I think they are putting the cart before the horse. All right? Why don't we go into mass production of food first, or importation of food, as the case may be? Because don't forget that the traders themselves are not getting this food stuff easily.
Yes.
Yeah, they are not. Because you need to go to the very source and the foundation of it all before you can crash. We've tried it before. Governments in this country have tried it before with the establishment of price control boards and all sort of things, but they didn't work, obviously. And I pray we don't go into a situation where the traders will go into their trenches and they sell through the back door. Okay, that makes it more precarious for the populace. I think what the government can do in the interim is to, why don't you even try to open the borders?
Yes.
So that more food can come in the interim, because
Yes.
that's not even the best anyway. But in the interim, before we now go into mass production of food, let us see that there's food in the market. Right now there's food in the market, but the purchasing power of the people is very low because they are contending with fuel.
Yes.
I mean, I bought fuel this morning at about 900, for instance. People are contending with house rent. If it happens to foodstuff, then what of house rent? Okay? So they must go side by side. And I think it's a panic measure, quite frankly, and I'm happy that a lot of people have talked about that. So what can be done at the moment is to ensure that there is more food for the people. Let us tackle the issue of banditry. Let us tackle the issue of floods, because these are major areas that can affect farmers very adversely. We tackle that. It's a long-term thing. What the government is trying to do now is ad hoc, I suppose, and it's a fire brigade kind of thing. So I'm not a pessimist, but I don't see it working on the long run.
Well, when we look at it critically, it will not work. The government knows where this problem is coming from because the food prices were not as high as this. Now they are complaining of the way they bring it from the villages and all that, and now they are giving them 1 month for them to crash the prices. By the time this 1 month comes and the traders are refusing to go follow what the federal government is saying, what do you think the federal government will do about these traders? Do you think they will set up a committee to start harassing the women, or what do you think they will do to these traders for them to slash back? Because I know definitely these traders will not want to contend to what the federal government is saying.
That's what I'm saying. They'll go into the trenches. And you know what that means? They will stay in their houses. Most of them will stay in their houses and start selling from their houses, if need be. So I think that we shouldn't tackle this issue from a fire brigade standpoint.
Yes.
No, we
That
shouldn't.
is not a solution.
Because it's not. Obviously it's not. And I suppose that the Ministry of Agriculture can do better than this. Even the state governments, why don't we ask the Ministries of Agriculture to make food available, maybe on a weekly basis? I mean, in Edo State we used to do that. I don't know why they stopped. On a weekly basis, they can make food available, because if you don't make food available with all the contending issues that we have, I mean, the roads are so bad now, by the way. The roads are bad. The vehicles bringing in the food items cannot even reach their destinations.
Yes.
I mean, look at how Uchi Road is bad. Agbo Road is bad. The road to Warri is bad. I'm talking of Edo State. I'm not even talking of the other states. Let us fix this infrastructure. Infrastructure is important for us to have food production and for us to have good pricing of food items. But if you apply force,
Yes.
then you are driving the traders into the trenches. However, let us look at fair prices. I thought that the thing government should do now is to force independent marketers to sell at reasonable prices.
Yes,
because most
that
of
is
them,
the problem.
that's the problem. Most of the marketers, I'm not even talking of the major marketers, I'm talking of the independent marketers. They get fuel more regularly than the other big organizations. If you are going to reduce pricing, let's start from fuel. Because that's where the problem is.
Yes,
I mean,
of
if
course.
oil goes down today to about 400 naira a liter, I'm sure that the marketers will know what to do. Sorry, the market women will know what to do.
Yes, of course, they
the
will.
transport people will know what to do. So let us tackle it from the source, and that's what I've been talking about. You have not touched pricing of fuel. You are going to the market to
It won't
reduce the
work.
prices of food. It just doesn't
No,
add up. It doesn't
no,
add up at
yes.
all. Let's go to the source, because that's the source. Yes.
So we want to use this medium to plead with the federal government and the state government to go to the source. We know where this problem is coming from. Let us tackle the source. Then from there, we'll pray that things will get better. Now, what the federal government are also threatening the doctors. The doctor, they are saying that, threatening that no work, no pay. Do you think this will also work for the doctors? Do you think they will listen? Because they've been hearing this work, no pay, but still, the doctors are still adamant.
The question to ask is, has it ever worked? Even during the military, it didn't work, let alone civilian administration. It didn't work. And I imagine that if they force it, then others will join.
Yes.
Other organizations will join in sympathy with the medical doctor. Because everybody, I mean, all major organizations under the Nigerian Labour Congress, they are suffering the same fate. ASU is preparing to go on strike, for example. You are talking of just medical doctors. If you enforce it, they go back to their private hospitals.
Yes, they will. Yes.
Most of them have their private hospitals.
They do.
Yes. And it is the people that will suffer. Why don't we employ more people? Even if it means bringing people from outside to come and help our situation in this country. Our doctors are living in droves. I've said it before on this station. They are living in droves. I have relations, cousins and nephews who are doctors. They have moved out of this country. Okay? Because they don't have the equipment to work with. Their pay is poor. And there's no motivation. And this has to do with life. Doctors work on the basis of giving life to people who are ailing. Okay? So if you enforce that no work, no pay, where does it lead up to? It leads us nowhere. Because the people will just be adamant and they will just be smiling and looking at you. Because in any case, as I said, if you try to enforce it, hard, then others will join.
Yes.
In sympathy with the doctor. It has happened in this country before. I think, like George Santayana said, the great philosopher, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. That's my take.
Now, let's look at a situation whereby something occurs, let's say an accident, and they take these victims to the hospital. Getting there, instead of them to just maybe like attend to the person, like maybe a first aid first, they will not attend, they will just say referral. And that's referral. In that case, so many people have died. What do you think the doctors or the federal government can do about victims that are brought to the hospital in a very critical condition before they refer them to other hospitals?
Because they don't have the equipment. They don't. I mean, most of the hospitals don't have the equipment. I can tell you for free. In fact, it's better in the urban centers. Go to the rural areas. And in the rural area, that's where you have all kinds of very terrible ailments. All right? Doctors are meant to work in environments that are hostile.
Yes.
Fair enough. But pay them. Pay them well. Pay them well and make sure that they are fairly comfortable. Okay? And besides, we must also, it's a holistic kind of thing. And I feel bad really about this. It's a holistic thing about our medical situation in this country. Our teaching hospitals are huge morgues. Huge, very huge morgues. They have become huge morgues. Our teaching hospitals. I mentioned it when Kekwa was here the other day, that look, I mean, my father worked in the hospital all through his life, all through his working life. And I knew what the hospital system was in those days, even though I was very young. Our hospital systems are not working.
And
that is the truth.
So many equipments.
That's the truth. We don't have the equipment. Even to train medical doctors. Professor, I have a lot of friends who are professors. They will tell you that, look, we have problems. We have problems training our doctors. And the question is, why are our doctors leaving? And they are leaving in large number. In fact, they are fleeing.
Yes.
Not just leaving, they are fleeing
yes.
this country. And there must be a reason for that. The reason is obvious. They are not getting adequate welfare.
Yes, they are not.
Good. no welfare package, the salary is poor, and all that. So we need to equip our hospitals. And equipping the hospital means we have to get the right work conditions for our doctors. You can imagine a doctor looking for a scapula. In most of the hospitals, there are no oxygen cylinders.
At all?
Yes, no oxygen cylinders. I mean, I've lost people just because of that. All right? So we must, look, this is very pathetic. It's very pathetic. I went to the hospital, I think about 2 years ago, to see a friend who had an accident. I got to the ward in the hospital, one of the hospitals here. The stench from the hospital was enough to even kill somebody. Yes, the stench alone. Whereas the hospital environment is supposed to be friendly.
Yes, of course.
Because if it's friendly, that is even half the treatment. But when the patient is consigned to an environment that smells like hell,
The person dies
then
quickly.
he dies very quickly. So that's the problem. We must tackle the fundamentals. And one of the fundamentals is that let us rebuild or restructure the system. Restructuring the health system means that we must work on the teaching hospital, because that's where you train doctors. We must work on the teaching hospitals. Why is it that our children who go abroad to study medicine, they don't want to come back?
At all?
No, they don't, because they know that they are not going to meet good equipment on ground. So we must train them well. And look, this is really terrible, because some doctors who are trained now, they go through the entire system of about 6 years or thereabout without going into all the departments of medicine. No. I know it because I've interviewed a lot of professors of medicine. They don't. Anatomy.
You're supposed to have an idea of
each. Yes, hematology and all that. Sometimes in some departments you don't even have professors. It's as bad as that in some states. You don't have, in teaching hospital, you don't have professors at all. They have all gone. I'm speaking from a position of strength because I know what it is. You don't have, how many professors, look at UBTH, how many professors do you have there? A professor is going on a ward round, for instance. He has only about 2 or 3 doctors with him. It's as bad as that, and this is the truth.
Jeez.
This is the truth. He's going, you don't even have enough nurses to go along with you, let alone doctors. Whereas in those days that I know of, a professor is almost 1 to 3, the ratio. What's the ratio of professors now to the patients in a typical teaching hospital? What's the ratio?
The patients are even more.
So, that is the problem we are in, and it's a national malaise. It's a national malaise. We must tackle it, because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Yes, if your workforce is not healthy, you are in trouble. So, health is wealth.
Health is wealth. Yes, health is wealth. Now, on the Daily Trust newspaper, there's a report that says Nigerians paid 1.04 billion naira ransom to kidnappers in 1 year. Do you think it's airworthy for as a Nigerian as a nation to be paying ransom to kidnappers?
People say that this country is a joke. I'm beginning to believe it, because over time and time again, we rescue people. What of the abductors? What of the people who kidnapped them? What has ever happened? Have you ever seen kidnappers being arraigned in court of law? And what are their sponsors? I mean, we keep hearing that, people sponsor them. Who are their sponsors?
We don't ever see their sponsors.
I mean, so it's a very terrible situation we are in. Our fingers have been pointed at people even in government that they sponsor banditry. How many people, just like yesterday, was it yesterday, a couple of days ago, we were discussing the issue of oil theft. In this same country, just to add to that, in this same country, a time was when about 4 kilometers of pipeline went into the high sea, and nobody could detect it. No surveillance, in spite of the fact that we have security agents or agencies, as the case may be. The same thing is happening with banditry. So in other words, people are benefiting from it, because it's one of the highbrow businesses now.
Yes, it is.
Highbrow businesses. You kidnap somebody, and the police. In fact, the whole thing is very shameful. You rescue people. You do not get to the root of the matter.
Are they spirits? These people.
They are not phantoms. They are not. They are human beings. And experts have said that before any kidnap operation is carried out, they plan everything, these kidnappers. Why don't you use intelligence network
To track these people
to track
down.
them before the deed is done? It is after the deed is done that you're now running enter looking for. Have we gotten all the Chibok girls now? Many years after.
Of course not.
Yes. Some have been married away.
Yes.
Some may have died. It's a pity that in this country we are still talking in this age, in this day and age, in the age of computers, in the days of technology. Can this kind of thing happen in any advanced country? And many people have said, look, if you are tired, if you don't know what to do, bring in foreign experts, maybe from the US or somewhere,
let them
to
help
come
out.
and help. To come and help. In this country, bandits have gone into NDA in Kaduna. They killed a major. You are aware? Yes, they killed a major. They went into a major military institution
How were they able to gain
there,
entrance?
and they killed a military officer in this same country. I mean, our soldiers are being killed every day.
Yes.
We know that, and it's a pity, but their souls continue to rest in peace.
Amen.
So it's really a problem. It's a problem. And if you don't tackle that, added to it is food security. A lot of people in the Middle Belt, a lot of people have been driven away from their farms, again through this the instrumentality of banditry. I used to travel to Abuja on a regular basis when I was when I had some contacts with the NBC. On both sides, as you are leaving Abuja, very close to Gwagwalada, on both sides of the road, people are asking you, oh, please come and buy from me. Come and, what are their wares? Tomatoes, potatoes, yams, all kinds of tubers. Go there now, it's empty. Totally empty.
People are
There's
afraid.
a stretch of land between Abuja, between Jos and Bauchi State, about 100 kilometers. In those days, on both sides, for about 20 kilometers, people are selling. They are selling their wares on both sides of the road. You buy with a little amount, your basket is full. You go there now, nobody. Well, the food basket of this nation has gone into oblivion. It no longer exists. So, there's a national emergency. The government should declare emergency on 3 things. Banditry, which is security. 2, power. Then 3rd, food crisis. Yes, national emergency.
Yes. Like I think some months back, some security agents intercepted a truckload, and when they opened that truck, it was full of guns.
So?
Guns. Now, is it not? It was somebody that sponsored those guns coming up till today. They were not able to get through the source to find out the person that brought in those guns into this country. It's not as if we are fighting war and all that. Even if they manage to even show some guns, who are the people that are giving these people sophisticated guns to work with, especially all these kidnappers and banditries?
Yes. It's a pity and it's a shame because, as I said earlier on, these kidnappers or whoever, they don't just act on their own terms alone. They are sponsored by people. Why don't we get to the root? Is it that these people are ghosts? Is it that they cannot be reached? Is it that they are even above the law? Because that's what it seems to be. If they are above the law, then nothing should touch them. Okay? But it's bad enough because it is people that suffer. It is the people. Editorials upon editorials have been written about what we are talking about. But who listens? Nobody. And yet we keep pumping billions into these things in our budget. Leaving critical areas like education and all of that. Even health. Why must a governor travel abroad, for instance, if he's looking for medical attention? Why? If we have our hospitals intact.
Yes.
If we have our hospitals intact. Nigeria is rich enough. Kehua was trying to ask me yesterday. I think he postponed it for another day. Can we have free education in this country? Yes. Can we have free medical services in this country? Yes. Because billions that are being stolen now can be put into these critical areas.
Yes. To fund it.
Yes, of course. Why can't we fund education up to tertiary level? We can because we have the resources. But it's just that a lot of things are being pillaged. That's why we remain where we are, which is very unfortunate. Which is very, very unfortunate. You're talking about kidnapping. Who are the people behind kidnapping? The high-ups. We can't reach them. How many people have been arraigned? We saw on national television maybe a year or 2 ago, a sitting governor was honoring a known bandit kingpin, banditry kingpin, inside government house. So what happened? No, it's a pity.
It's
It's
a
a pity.
pity.
Yes.
Well, that's a package on the newspaper analysis on Providence Television. I want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Emmanuel Igariva for joining me on the show this morning. Don't go away. The program continues.